and welcome back to another episode of the Soul Powered Podcast. I am so excited. I have a special guest with me today, Autumn Martin, who is a success coach. She's a mindset coach, and she's helping other entrepreneurs and influencers to start, grow, and monetize their personal brands, breaking through the limiting beliefs and self-sabotage that's holding them back. This is up my alley. Autumn is super aligned. I'm so excited to have you here today, Autumn. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Me too. I love it. I love it. We had a chat last week and we were doing a podcast swap. So this is so much fun when you kind of get to know people a little bit and build some rapport. So we have a little bit of understanding about each other and we're on the same page. So this is awesome. So let's dive in, Autumn. I'd love to just kind of hear from you a little bit about what it is that you do. Who is it that you help in this world and how do you help them? Let's kind of start there.
Yeah, so like you kind of said, I'm a mindset and success coach. I'm also a podcast host, and I help new and aspiring content creators, influencers, and business owners to start, grow, and monetize their personal brands and kind of get out of their own way and break through those limiting beliefs and self-sabotage that are holding them back from seeing the success and the abundance that they want to see in their lives. And so what I like to do with my clients is really help them to be seen on social media, help them to step into their confidence and into their power as content creators and business owners so that they can monetize their magic, as I like to say, and, create the freedom and fulfillment that they want in their lives through, leveraging social media as a tool to build that brand and build that business. So that's a little bit about what I do.
I love it. I love it. And I
Thank
think
you.
it's so vital. It's so important because I don't think people realize the journey, right? Like when you go from working for someone else, and I want to hear a little bit about your story and your journey here in a second, but I know like working from someone else where you're an employee to that entrepreneur mindset where you're kind of putting yourself out there. There's so many things that come up that I don't think people realize. It's like, oh, I'm just going to go and start an online business. And then it's like,
Mhm.
oh, now you're hit with all your limiting beliefs, all your baggage, all your nervous system responses, all your
Yeah.
self-sabotage. It's like, what the heck? Nobody prepared me for this. I know that's for sure. Right. So
Mhm.
is that something that you see happening a lot with people? Is that kind of the same progression that you're noticing is when people go from that employee where they're kind of told what to do all the time and then they just don't know what happens, right? When you go into like starting an online business and a personal brand, like, is that kind of the same succession that you're seeing?
Yeah, for sure. Literally with all of my clients, and even with my own journey, that's kind of what happened
Yeah.
with me. Like I achieved a lot of success really quickly after, coming from being a student. Like I literally just graduated college in May. So I've been a student up until now. I've never like been in like a corporate setting or been out in like or I say a real job. Like I've worked real jobs. Like I worked at a gym, I babysat, worked at daycares and summer camps. Like I had jobs in those aspects, but I have not been like in the quote unquote workforce. But that's exactly what I see happening with my clients and with myself. Like I came from the background of working for someone else and being told what to do and how to do it. And then when I stepped into being my own boss, it's such a different ball game. And then when you add social media into the mix, it's like it's very difficult to transition yourself from that mindset of being under someone else's employment to being under your own. So yeah, it definitely was a big transition for me in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, it's huge. And I think it's so under talked about because,
Mhm.
people don't understand why they're not seeing the success that they want, not seeing the progress that they want. And there's so many caveats. And so, like you said, my journey's been the same. I had to walk through this as well. So tell us a little bit about kind of what brought you to this place. So what
Mhm.
got you into the work that you're doing? I know you say you saw some success early on, and then just walk us through that journey.
Do you want the long the long story or the short story? Because I feel
Well,
like I have like two different
yeah,
origins to how I got into doing this work.
we'll go into whichever one that your higher self, because I know you're a manifesting generator. So, what is your intuition guiding you? What do you feel like people need to hear? And then I'll kind of ask some more questions, some clarifying questions along the way. How about that?
Okay, cool. So 2 years ago, I guess it's almost 3 years ago now, at the end of 2020, I went through a really rough time with mental health. Um, I don't know if we're gonna get into it today, but I'll just say it was a really hard time for me. And I came out of the situation that I went through and I had gained about 70 pounds over the course of like 4 months.
Wow.
And I was very depressed. I was working through a lot of internal, struggles after what I went through. And in about January of 2021, I was like, fuck this. I am not. Oh, I'm sorry if I can't curse on this
Yes, you
podcast.
can curse. You can curse. I do it all the time.
Yeah, so I was like, fuck this. I am not going to let this situation that happened to me ruin my life. I'm not going to let this hold me back from the dreams that I have and becoming the person that I want to be. So I started diving into a lot of self-help and personal development work. I started listening to podcasts and, doing all of this, self-help work. And then I also at the same time was going through a fitness journey. And over the course of like 2021, I had lost the weight that I had gained at the end of 2020. And I was documenting it on TikTok. And towards the end of 2021, I saw my page kind of blow up and I kind of went from just doing social media and posting and sharing my journey for fun and then turning it into like a business and monetizing the platform that I had built. Like literally overnight, I went from probably like 2,000 followers to like 250,000. And I say overnight, but it was really over the course of like 2 or 3 weeks. And my entire life and perception of, money and social media and the possibilities that are out there for you being a content creator and having an online business, like my entire perception of the online space completely shifted because when I had gained all those followers, I also started attracting brand deals and I wrote an ebook that I sold and made a lot of money off of that and affiliate marketing and just all of these different avenues that opened up for me after being exposed to what's possible when you build a brand and know how to monetize it. And originally I started with being a fitness coach because that's what I was in. I got my CPT and my nutrition coach certifications. And so I started off with coaching people on weight loss. But I quickly realized that's not what I wanted to do. I'm really passionate about the mindset work and the, self-improvement aspect of things. I did just graduate with my degree in psychology. So like the mind is really where I love to see, changes happen. I think that everything starts first in your mind. And so I pivoted from, fitness coaching to mindset coaching. And then I started, you know, I was already into manifestation. I feel like the way that I kind of came about the success that I did the past few years was through manifestation. So I pivoted to mindset and manifestation coaching. And then I made another pivot to what I'm doing now, which is what I like to call mindset and success coaching, because I don't feel like I'm a business coach or like just a social media coach. And I like to make sure I cover all the ground when I work with my clients and like we cover the mindset of it, the business of it, and then also like the manifestation and energetics of things. So that's kind of how I got from point A to point B.
I love that. And it's such a powerful transition. And also, I think too, like, just I'd love to hear your journey of how you walked through, because I know that you said there's some self-sabotage in your journey too, just like there was
Yes.
mine. And I'd love to hear that because I don't think people are fully prepared to understand what it means to have like an explosive business online or to come into a lot of followers or a lot of money or a lot of like that's one of the things that I think is not understood fully. Like people think, okay, well, if I just had 1 million followers overnight, or if I just had $1 million overnight, like everything would change and everything would be better. And you and I both know from experience, right? And
Yes.
from watching other people that that is not the case. And it's important for us to do this work ahead of time. As you know, what it is that I do is help people establish that really solid foundation as it relates to their nervous system so they don't create that self-sabotage as well. So we're super aligned in our message and what we do for people because we understand the importance of creating a solid foundation, right? So can you talk a little bit about like what happened after this big like blow up? Like was there a lot of just tell us what came up for you? Like I'm curious to hear how that transition took place.
Yeah, so much came up for me. I remember the night that I kind of like made a really big quantum leap, as I always like to say, because that's what it felt like. I remember going to bed and I had like, like I said, 2,000 followers. And then the next morning I woke up and my account was at like 50K. And I was like, holy shit, what did I just do? I don't know if I want to be seen by all these people. when I had first started, posting on TikTok, I had set my goal to become like an influencer. And I thought if I manifested like 20,000 followers, that would be like more than enough. So that was my goal, was 20,000. And then I surpassed that. And I remember that morning when I woke up and saw the 50K, I like had a panic attack. I'm not even kidding. Because I was
Yes.
just like, oh my goodness, I don't know if I'm ready to be seen and potentially judged and disliked by all of these people. What if they don't like me? What if everyone unfollows me? What if I say the wrong thing, or if people cancel me because we're in this like
Yep.
cancel culture.
Mhm.
And so that was like the first thing that really came up for me. And then from there, as far as like limiting beliefs and self-sabotage go, there was so much. I am still working through a lot of that right now, because you know how they say more money, more problems? It's the
Yeah.
same thing with followers. Like more money, more
Yes.
followers, more
More of
problems,
anything,
more of
right?
anything.
It comes a different level of problems, right?
Yeah, and, like, it's so good, the growth was so good, like, I achieved so much from and I benefited so much from having the platform that I do, but at the same time, some of the limiting beliefs that came up for me is, like, the fear of being seen, fear of judgment, fear of rejection, like, all of these different things. I was comparing myself constantly to other people in my niche and what they were doing and how many followers they had and what brand deals they were getting. And I felt like an imposter. Imposter syndrome was a really big one for me, and like low key it still is to this day. Like every time I pivot or step into a new lane, I'm like, it comes up for me. And it's led to a lot of like procrastination and just like questioning myself, and not letting myself be as big as I know that I can be, and really stepping into the power that I know I have, and being fully confident and owning who I am and what I have to offer and what I can do for people, because I know like in my heart what I'm capable of. Like I did it, and at the same time it's like, am I really good enough? Am I really qualified for this? Like, do I really deserve this? Like, all of these things came up for me, and it
Mm.
was just very overwhelming. And so I'm very grateful that I was able to invest in some help. And like, I invested in, like, after my first brand deal that I did, I invested immediately into a mindset coach, because I was like, I cannot handle this pressure and this
Yeah.
stress by myself. So I kind of had some guides walking with me for the past, year or two as I've been doing this in that aspect. So I'm very grateful that I had that help. And then on the other side of things, which we can get into, like the financial aspect, that was a whole nother beast of limiting beliefs and self-sabotage.
Yeah, I love that you bring all of this up, and we can definitely go there because this is what I talk about, right? And I love how open and transparent you are with this, because I do really truly believe that people think that they just need the next strategy, they just need the follower. And this was me for a long time too, right? Until I had it all and it was like, oh,
Mhm.
like this isn't
Yeah.
just what I need, right? So I love that you bring all of this up. And like my oldest friend, who she probably listens to this, hi Sam, but she's my oldest friend. We've been friends since I was like probably, I don't know, 6, 7 or 8 or something like that. And she had created a TikTok. She posted one video, and her first video she ever made, it to this day probably has like 85 million views. It's like
No
it went
way.
semi, or it went like, what am I, not semi viral, it went like ultra viral and like complete, like she blew up overnight. And it was one of those things where it's kind of like that, it takes 10 years to become an overnight success type of thing, because
Yeah.
she's been on social media. Her goal has been like, she's been creating YouTube videos, and they, she hasn't been gaining the traction and whatnot that she wants. And so it's not, this is what she's always wanted. And I remember her calling me like freaking out because her daughter, it was a video with her daughter in it, and it was a newborn baby, and all of these people like saying just the craziest things, right? Once you reach that many people, you're gonna
Mhm.
have all kinds of, like, you're reaching all these corners of the internet that you don't even know. Like, people are just crazy, and they're gonna have their projections and their limiting beliefs and their beliefs about the way that you should do things. And it was just nuts. And I just remember her like freaking out over it. And
Right.
I think that we all think that that's the answer. It's like, if I just had this, when in all reality, for me, with my nervous system journey, the way my nervous system is set up, I now prefer gradual growth. I swear to God, I
Mhm.
prefer gradual growth,
Same.
because it's the gradual growth, that it's the little incremental steps that you're taking that are allowing you to become the type of person who can handle the quantum leap. If you don't become the type of person who can sustain that quantum leap and these huge jumps in income or these huge jumps in followers or whatever it is, then you'll lose it. It's just the way that it works, right? We know that the universe doesn't give us what we want. It gives us who we are. It responds to who we are, right? So I love that you're bringing that up. And yeah, we could definitely dive into the financial piece of it too, because I think this is all so relatable to people. Like, I love that this is your journey and this all happened for a reason, right? This happened so that you could walk through and heal, right? Even though sometimes it's hard for us to look back and think, well, why would this all happen, right? It happens so that you can become aware of, now you're in this process of healing and setting this really more solid foundation, which is exactly what I'm doing as well. And I'm helping other people do, right? So let's talk about that. Yeah, we can go there with the financial piece of it. What happens to someone who just receives, and give us like a real life example of that.
Yeah. Oh, I will. So kind of like you said, like your nervous system has to be at a certain level to not only like receive what you're calling in, but like hold it. And like that was my problem. I did not know that beforehand. Like I said, I was doing a lot of mindset work and self-improvement work, and I thought I was ready for what I was calling in. And I was not at all, mindset wise, and then also financially. And so I made about $50,000 in my first year of business over the course of 2022. And the first like lump sum of the money that I got, it was like $20,000 all at once. And I just remember I was like, I can afford everything. And I was going out like swiping my card like there was no tomorrow, because I'd never had that much money in my life. Like, I'm 22 years old, and the most money I've probably made from like working other jobs have probably only ever had like $1,500, $2,000 in my bank account at one time. And so $20,000, that was incredible to me. And I was, you know, I thought I had a really good money mindset, and I really do believe in abundance and having an abundance mindset. But for me, that looked like overspending. And I didn't realize that this was a form of self-sabotage, and this was a form of nervous system dysregulation and, scarcity that I didn't understand. Because like I ended up spending more money than what I had coming in. And so, um,
It's okay. I can still hear you. Did something happen?
I
That's
think
okay.
they died. We'll just
Oh.
um, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so I ended up spending a lot more money than I had coming in. And so I remember investing in, it was, I think it was probably with the same mindset coaches that I had, but they had increased their prices. And so say I had like, I don't know, $5,000 coming in that month. I was spending like 4,000 of it and only leaving like 1,000 left over. And this pattern just kept repeating itself throughout the year. Like, I felt like I was getting a lot of money coming in, and then I would immediately find somewhere to spend it. Like, I had
Yes.
to spend that money. Like, it was, I don't know, I didn't feel safe for me to hold on to it on some level. And I'm still trying to understand like why that is. And I'm still working through my own money mindset blocks and, all of those things. But it was just this really weird experience of me just not feeling, one, like I had enough, and two, like why was I spending all of this money? Like, why couldn't I save it, So I see this
Yeah.
a lot, like not just with myself, but with the clients that I work with, and even friends who make a lot of money really quickly. We have not been taught the financial literacy and like the actual like strategic way to manage money, but then also on a nervous system level, we have not been taught the like energetic management of money. And so that's where a lot of my issues came from in the past with manifesting abundance and money.
I think it's so important. And I'm so glad that you shared that, because I think a lot of people are just confused. And in this day and age, because we live in this like quantum leaping age and like the 5 steps to do this, like all this clickbaity stuff that people share, the fastest way to get here. Yeah, it's great to have all of those things. And I'm all about quantum leaping and collapsing timelines. And at the same time, again, it's sometimes, and I know from my experience, it makes sense to slow down a little bit so that we can speed up. And so we set the solid foundation, because like you said, the reason that this happens is because what is unfamiliar to the nervous system is automatically deemed as unsafe. So if you grew up in an environment like I did, where money was, chaotic, there was a lot of stress and fights and crying and upset and survival, like our survival was in constant question because we didn't have enough money, right?
Right.
And I'm going to take that into adulthood, which is exactly what I did as well. And I brought that into my adulthood, my business. And that's exactly why I knew that this was the missing link for me, right? Was the nervous system piece. And so you see this, I'm sure, in your clients too, right? Where they're trying to go out there and they're trying to, like, how do you see it show up for them? Maybe I'll just ask you because you're the expert in this. How do you see it showing up in your clients? Like, is it that they're not showing up on social media because they're afraid of that fear of rejection, the fear of being seen, all the fears that you were talking about, which are very, very real, and incredibly scary, right, to a nervous system that is not used to that. So how are you seeing that kind of show up in their life? Because I know that somebody can resonate with this.
Yeah, it definitely is like with my clients like not showing up and not putting themselves out there, being afraid of like taking of misstepping, a lot of imposter syndrome and worthiness wounds, self-doubt. Um it's honestly like at the end of the day, it's all kind of related to their self-perception and their self-worth and what they feel worthy and deserving of, not even just like when it comes to the actual like growing of their business and like growing their audience of social media and a following. At the money side too, it's like I see a lot of them not feeling worthy of the money that they're trying to call in, and they question if they're actually like qualified to be speaking on what they're wanting to speak on. And yeah, it's a lot of them and myself too, because like I said, I'm
Yeah.
still going through this myself. It's like a lot of us feel like we have to have a whole bunch of certifications or qualifications in order for us to be able to teach and speak on the things that we want to, and in order to provide value to the audience that we want to. But that's not the reality, and I think that a lot of us are having to unlearn that old paradigm of like needing to go get a 4-year 6-year degree in order to be a teacher and a mentor and a guide, and like really leaning into the gifts that we have innately and leaning on the like quote unquote like life school experience that we have, because a lot of us, we're overqualified to teach and speak on the things that we want to just from our life experiences alone. And I think that the more that myself and like my clients really lean into that and start to trust that what we know is enough and that what we have to offer is enough, the more that they feel comfortable and confident going out and speaking and growing and being seen and allowing people to pay them and invest in them for, the gifts that they have and the experiences that they're available to teach on, you
Oh
know?
my gosh, absolutely. I know. And this is a journey that I walked too, girl. I'm telling you. I remember asking my mentor probably 10 years ago or so, because I didn't go to I didn't go to college. I had a daughter at 18, and so when I graduated high school, college wasn't an option for me. I had a 6-month-old when I graduated with a baby. So like it was just one of those crazy things where like, okay, you got to get to work. And I started on that same hamster wheel, gaining a lot of traction really fast and didn't know how to hold on to it. Same thing. And was making more and more money. But I remember thinking that going back to school would have made me feel better about the success. Like I remember meeting with people back when I was in the corporate world, and I'm managing money and I'm helping them with things and I know what I'm doing, but I felt so, it was like, yeah, like unqualified, even though I would look around and people would come to me and ask me for advice all the time. And
Mhm.
everyone wanted to work with me, but I didn't feel worthy enough. I felt like an external. And I remember telling my mentor, like, maybe I should just go back to school. Maybe I should get a degree. And he's looking at me like, what are you talking about? It's going to be a distraction. It's going to be more money that you're going to put, like, for what? You know what you're doing. And it wasn't until it sunk in for me, right? I had to overcome that imposter syndrome. I had to be able to do that. And a lot of it stemmed from me working with mentors, hiring people, and also being able to ask myself, like, and I'll ask you this and our audience as well, because I know there's people out here who are struggling with this, like, what is going to make it enough? When is it enough? When's it enough, Autumn? Do you need the next, like, is it going to be the next certification or the next one or the next one or the next one after that? Or is it going to be 400,000 followers? Or is it going to be $10,000 a month? Are you finally going to be worth it? Are you finally going to know what you're talking about? And I just think the concept is so crazy. Like, how many times do you need to manifest 250,000 followers on TikTok for you to be qualified to tell someone else how to do it, right? Like, once, you only have to do it once. But you're right. It's overcoming this conditioning, all of these limiting beliefs that come up, all of this unworthiness, all of the wounding and the societal conditioning that tells us that we're not good enough. Like, that's what it is. At the end of the day, you are enough. And I can hear you speak right now. Like, I can tell you are an expert in what you do, right? It's
Thank you.
just, and I love it because you really are. And you're so well spoken and articulate. And it's so clear that you are good at what you do. And I know this applies to so many others out there who are listening to this because they can see that in you. They can see how powerful you are. It's just about us seeing it in ourselves. It's us really embodying that ability to know that I got this, right? Like, I have this. And a lot of it comes with the self-trust. So I was having this conversation on another podcast earlier today about how, especially as it relates to the nervous system, I think it kind of builds into this cycle of not trusting ourselves because we manifest a lot and then we bring ourselves back down, and then it's like this, it's called an upper limit. For the book, The Big Bleep by Gay Hendricks, right? It's called an upper limit. It's like we reach this glass ceiling that we're the ones who created for ourselves, by the way, which is always the paradox of it. And then we bring ourselves back down, and then it leads into this cycle of us not trusting ourselves because the next time we want to go for something, we think, well, am I actually going to be able to do it? Like, look at all the evidence of the other times that, because our ego loves evidence, right? It loves to present us with evidence that, see, you're not good enough. See, you didn't do it before. See, you self-sabotaged it last time. See. And it's like, we have to be able to be strong enough within our own conviction and our own self-confidence and our own self-worth. And sometimes that takes us hiring help and bringing in, other people who can help us and hold our hand through this process. And that's what you and I are doing for people out in this world, because this is no joke. You would think that, hey, we're here, we're just starting an online business. Like, I just know so many people who have started this journey, and man, is it a lot harder than I think some people think that it is. And because we live in this clickbaity age where people are out here saying, oh, I went from, $0 to $10 million in 2 seconds. Like, to me, that just adds to it, right? Because it's like, come on, like, let's tell real authentic stories of people who it took a little while. And guess what? You and I are, examples of that, right? We get to be examples for other people, but our journeys weren't perfect. We're still living our soul powered life. We're still living a life that is guided by our soul and living out our passions. And we are still works in progress, right? It's okay. And I think we have to be more authentic about the real nature of what it is that we're doing, because we're setting so many people up for failure when we tell people that if you do X, Y, and Z, then you're going to go from 0 to $1 million in 2 seconds. And when that either doesn't happen, or they do it and then they self-sabotage because it was built on shaky ground, now then they're back into the loop of not believing in themselves, right? We have to be more authentic and honest about this journey. And I'm so appreciative that you have shared your journey and how this shows up for you and your clients, because I think it really gives people permission to understand that they're not alone and that it's okay. And there's nothing wrong with you if this is what you're struggling with.
Right. And I'm so glad that you brought that up, because about the people talking about like the overnight success and like the instant results, because that's something that I thought I wanted once upon a time. And like, the more that I grow into being an entrepreneur and just like an adult, it's like, I don't want that. Like, my nervous system doesn't want that. Evidently, that's the way that I was talking about with my experience of like self-sabotage in the past like year. Like, it's not sustainable and it's not realistic. And I think, like you said, we need to be having more conversations like these, because like, yes, it can be amazing to see like $20,000 come in basically within a week, or like 250,000 followers come in what seems like overnight. But like, when you get that and then you have all of this stuff come up, all of this baggage, and you don't know like how to deal with it, where to put it, and like how to get rid of it, it's so overwhelming. And it just, I don't know, for me personally, it made me feel like I'd failed before I'd even really gotten a chance to get started because I see all of these other people doing these things and they're making it seem like it's so easy to achieve and so easy to maintain, but the reality is that like it's not. And I wish that someone had told me this before I like set out to, achieve that level of success that quickly, because if I had known then what I know now, I would have done things a lot differently and I would have taken my time to get there. And one quote that my mentor told me is like slowly is the fastest way to get to where you want to be. And now I like truly believe that, because
Yes.
when you do things a little bit more slowly, you're able to be a lot more intentional and thoughtful, and you're not, rushing to get there. You're less likely to make mistakes, and you're able to like have that level of stability and groundedness and, safety within your body to actually, maintain it and grow it once you get it. Cause I do not want to experience what I went through ever again. Like,
No.
if I don't care if it takes me 2 times longer to get there, I would
Mhm.
much rather get there in my own time at my own pace and be able to feel comfortable and confident and grounded in the success and the abundance rather than get there and lose it again. And that's exactly what I want other people to know. And, especially like with the women that I work with, because it's hard to see other people doing these things and achieving the success that you want in such rapid pace, but like you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You don't know what they had to go through to get there. You don't know what it really looks like behind that, that rose curtain that they're putting up to the world to see. That's one thing I really had to understand, is like I got to stop comparing myself to other people and their journey, because I'm not them and they're not me, and I only want what's meant for me, because I don't want anything that's like not aligned or that isn't, you know, going to actually contribute to my life and my journey and what the universe actually wants me to experience in this life. So I've had to take that lesson and just kind of like be okay with taking a step back and pausing and slowing down and actually getting real with myself about what it is that I want, and like what am I actually willing to do to get there and how do I want to get there, instead of just like trying to rush to the finish line.
Oh my God. I love where this conversation has gone and where it's going, because I really have tried to articulate a lot of this, even in my content and the things that I talk about. And it's kind of, it's like contrary to what other people are saying, because everyone else
Yeah.
is so focused on how fast things are. And I'm like, I've just kind of had this experimental way of doing this. I'm like, maybe we'll see, because I'm going to tell the truth. And it might take me a little bit longer to get to said end results, right?
Mhm.
But I don't actually care, because the people that I magnetize into my life, I don't want that. I don't want that desperate energy. I don't want
Yeah, that
people
needy
to
energy.
think that like, yeah, because it's not true. It's not true. And there are people who are saying that, yeah, they go from 0 to $10 million in 2 seconds. I know I keep saying that, but that's what it feels like when people talk about this. And the truth is that when you look behind the scenes, that might be true, but at what cost?
Mhm.
And I've worked with people who make $100,000 a month and have literally no money left at the end of the month, because they are, it costs them $50,000 a month to run their business. Then they're, spending all of the money, they're overspending, they're not safe around the money. So they're getting rid of it anyway. So what's the difference? What is the
Mhm.
difference between that person who has $1,000 left at the end of the month and someone else who's making 2,000 but spending 1,000 of it? Who cares? Like, you're in the same freaking place, right?
Right.
So it's so important to talk about. But for me, I don't really care, because realistically speaking, I've set myself up in a place where I have enough passive income. I have the income that I need. I have the time freedom that I need. And in this new evolution of my business, I only want to call in women who really genuinely understand this concept, that they want to build the solid foundation right now and then grow. Because again, part of that is you becoming the type of person who can hold on to the quantum leap.
Mhm.
So for me right now, there were periods of time in the corporate world where I have massive, massive bonuses, 6-figure bonuses, and I didn't know what to do back then. I'm like, you know, I wasn't safe around it. And so now it's like, when I receive large lump sums of money like that, it's like, it's no big deal. I literally don't. It's exciting, but for like 2 seconds. And then it's like, I literally don't care as
Mhm.
much anymore. And it's not, it's because It's no longer linked to my survival. I've healed my relationship around this, and it doesn't matter. And I don't make money mean anything about me as a person anymore. And so I had a good friend of mine who asked me, she goes, why don't you talk about how much money you make? Like, you're a money coach. There's all these people out here are saying how much money they make. And I'm like,
Right.
because I don't want to. I don't care about the, like, to me, it's, and I'm not saying that I never will. I'm not saying that I never will share numbers, but the truth is, for me, it's about, everyone thinks it's about the money. But when you get the money, it's not ever really about the money.
Mm-hmm.
It's never about the money. It's about what it is that you're able to obtain, the kind of lifestyle, the feeling that you think that this money is going to give to you. So
Right.
why don't we just work on cultivating that feeling? Why don't we work on
Yes.
cultivating the safety? Why don't we work on cultivating a safe and secure relationship with money, with yourself, with your
Mm-hmm.
business, with all of the things, right? Now, so that when the money comes in, like, money is neutral.
Right.
Money is neutral. It's a tool, and it shouldn't make you feel crazy, nuts, anxious, scared, happy, elated, excited. Like, it should just feel, when you have a healed relationship with it, it just feels like, yeah, of course I would make that amount of money every month. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's just the type of person that I am. It's no longer a big deal. But that's why I don't talk about it. And again, it might be a slower way to get to where I'm going, but I could care less, because I know what I'm building and I know the foundation I'm building it on. And that will never go away because I'm calling in the right people. So it's the same thing that I'm seeing in the way that you're doing things, because I think a lot of people might think, okay, so you're working on helping them with their branding and their social media and all of that. And people might think it's just the strategy that they need. Like, do
Mm-hmm.
people come to you and say, like, oh, well, what do I need to do? And it's like, you're now backing them up. Let's slow down for a second. Let's talk about what we need to do, but also let's talk about the energy in which we need to do it in. And
Mm-hmm.
I love what you do, because there's no amount of strategy that can override the energy. Do you,
Period.
do you agree? I was gonna say, do you
Yes.
agree? There's
Yes,
no
I
amount of strategy.
100% agree. I
So what
think
do
that
you
like,
see?
oh,
Yeah, go
sorry.
ahead. No, I want you to elaborate on that. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think that like a lot of people, they think that it's just the strategy that they need, and that I can tell them like do X, Y, and Z, like post 4 times a day and use these hashtags and put these keywords in the caption and do all this different stuff, and you're gonna blow up and instantly get 50 million followers and brand deals and clients and all of these different things. And I'm like, no. I, like one of the first things that I tell people when they come to work with me is like, if you're coming to me to, gain just a bunch to just gain a bunch of followers and, you know, grow your social media super quickly, I'm not your person. Because I'm not going to teach you how to do
Yes.
that. I don't want to teach you how to do that because one, like if I were to do that and you were to obtain it, one thing that I've learned in my journey with the rapid growth that I had is that followers don't equal dollars and followers don't equal community. When I was first growing my page before, I was doing a lot of those, super quick growth tactics that, your videos would go super viral back in, 2021 when TikTok was that platform for, making people go viral and gain a bunch of followers like overnight. But one of the biggest things that I realized is that that's actually counterproductive to certain goals. Like if you want a bunch of followers, to say you have a bunch of followers, sure, you can do those things and you can grow really quickly. But if you want to grow a community, if you want to monetize your brand, if you want to actually build a brand and not just like a TikTok page and a
Yes.
following, like there's certain things that you're going to have to do on a strategic level that I'm not willing to, teach my client. Like I'm not willing to teach you how to just grow super quickly overnight. Like I want to work with women who want to build communities, who want to not just grow a bunch of followers, but who have a mission and a vision that's bigger than just posting videos and making money. And then on like the mindset side of things, I make sure that like we are working through those limiting beliefs and the self-sabotage, because there's no point in doing these things and trying to grow an audience or a business if your nervous system isn't where it needs to be, if you're still good, if you're gonna like fall off the face of the earth, every week and not want to show up because you're afraid of being seen and, you don't want to be disliked. There's a lot of things that people think that will get them to the level that they want to be at. That's just kind of like backwards. They think that you want to like I don't know, like you want to grow first and then deal with all of the other stuff. But I think it's a lot easier if you deal with the internal work first, or at least while you're doing it simultaneously on the more strategic and actual like growth side of things. Like if you do them together, it's going to be so much better than if you just try to like grow super quickly and then you don't know what to do once you get there. So yeah, I definitely make sure that we're working through the mindset stuff, the energetic stuff, and the strategic stuff, because that is important. But I think energy always speaks so much louder than strategy, and it will get you so much further than any strategy, because people can tell what energy you're doing something in, especially if you're, trying to make money online. People can always feel that needy energy, like that energy of
Yes.
like, I'm only doing this because I want to get paid. Like imagine, or you don't even have to imagine, like, do you ever see like influencers post something and it's an ad and it's so clearly an ad and they're just doing it because they want the money and they don't actually believe in that product? Like
Yes.
that just gives me the ick. And I don't want, I hate people who do that. And I would never just like try and teach people those ton of strategies. Like it just doesn't align with my values and what I want to help women achieve within my business.
Oh my God. Yeah. That's like a mic drop moment right there. And I think we're on to something with this. Like, I'm like, energy over strategy, like, period. Like, that is so, that's just, again, mic drop, because it really is. And for a long time, I used to think it was the strategy that I needed. And then I would buy all the courses like in
Mhm.
earlier on in my business. I have spent over 6 figures investing in my personal development, not all on courses, on coaches and different things too, but I bought all of the courses on strategy, on how to do this, how to do that, how to do this. And now I look back and I'm like, any one of those would have worked.
Literally. Bro,
Any one.
that's another thing I realized with myself. I thought the answers were always in another course or another ebook or another coach who was going to teach me the formula for
Yes.
success. And it's like literally any one of those strategies will work. There's so many different paths that will lead you to the results that you want.
Yes.
The only thing that matters is that your energy is in the right place when you're walking down that one. Like you just pick a path and you
Oh
stick
my
with it,
God.
you put the energy behind it, and you will get to the destination. But if you keep trying to switch lanes and
Uh,
try out all these different things, you're not going to get there. Your energy's all over the place. Like how can the universe
yes.
help you get to where you need to be if you're sending out all these different signals? Like
Oh my God, girl, you're preaching to the choir. I'm telling you, like, and this is, I just shared like a podcast episode about this where it was like, or maybe I didn't share it yet. I think I recorded it. Maybe I didn't share it yet. But either way, I was talking about how, yeah, like the pattern of overthinking, because sometimes we can get
Mhm.
into, especially when we have trauma, we can get into our heads about, is this the right path? And when we're listening to the ego, when we're listening to our fear, when we're listening to all of those things, and the nervous system included, right? There can be so much fear attached to these things that we're always questioning, is this the right path? Should I,
Mhm.
shiny new object syndrome, right? But the reality is, if you have yourself, so like right now, about 3 months ago or so, I did hire a new coach. And the reason that I hired this coach is because I sat with my intuition. It wasn't a shiny new object syndrome. I knew that I had the path. I knew any one of those paths. Like I said, I've bought all the courses, I've done all the things. I needed someone to sit me down and simplify things and energetically support me through bringing a new path that was more aligned for me. Because that's the thing, right?
Mhm.
Any one of these paths can work. Any path to success that you choose, it can work, but isn't it alignment for you? And that's the
Right.
biggest thing. I think sometimes when we are subjecting ourselves to the shiny new object syndrome, or if you're trying to grow online, this person tells you the hacks and this and that, but is that aligned for you? Like, is it really aligned for you to post 4 times a day? Is it
Mhm.
really aligned for you to do those things? Like, if it is, great, then go and do it if you have the energy for it. But I think it's when we try to force ourselves to do certain things. And so some of the courses that I bought through the years were just shiny new objects. And I thought that I
Yes.
needed this other answer, right? And I'm like, that wasn't aligned for me. No wonder, I didn't feel energetically behind it. So, but when I hired this new coach, it was really to take all of the ideas that I had in my head and to create a path that was going to be most aligned for me. And now I'm like, I got this, because I've done the inner work. I healed my
Mhm.
nervous system. I healed my mindset around money. I am in congruency 100% in who it is that I am and what it is that I offer in the world. But if I would have hired this coach 3 years ago, I would have still been in scarcity, or, 5 years ago, I guess at this point, I would still have been in scarcity. I still would have been in overthinking mode. My nervous system wouldn't have been healed, and that process wouldn't have worked either. So I do think that there's value, of course. I mean, we're both coaches, right? There's value in hiring mentors. There's value in hiring people who can help you, but it's making sure too that you are aligned with that person. So guys, if you're listening to this and you want to work with someone, you want to find the strategy, and Autumn resonates with you. I don't like teaching strategy. That's one thing I don't like to do. I tried. I had a coaching container where this was something that I tried, and it just wasn't for me. And I shut it down because in my opinion, there are people who are better qualified to do that. I teach the nervous system work. I teach healing your relationship with money. I go deep into that, and I don't want to go into the strategy. That's why you have people like Autumn, right? So if you're in a position where you want to learn the strategy, but you want to do it, make sure that you work with someone who's aligned. Make sure that you work with someone who understands the energetics, the manifestation, who's done it before and can show you the ropes, but not just from a strategy perspective, right? Because remember, it's energy over strategy. That's our new, we just kind of coined that here. So you heard it here first. But it's the energy over strategy. So working with someone, and guys, definitely check out Autumn, right? Like her page is incredible. Her energy is incredible. I love her. I'm so excited that we are connected. But realistically speaking, like, we need to be working with people who are aligned with us, who can help us to develop a strategy that actually works for us, that's aligned with our energy. You obviously understand energy, intuition, human design. Those kinds of things are so vital, because I think there's a lot of masculine coaches out there. It's like, you have to do it this way. And it's like, oh my God, I want to like literally die. Like, I'd rather die than do that. Like, I don't want to do that. So how do you incorporate, like, is this more like an intuitive thing that you do with people? So when someone comes to you and they're like, hey, I want to work on building this brand in this community, because that's incredible. And I agree with everything you said. That is so vital. Just having followers on social media means nothing, absolutely nothing, right? But we want to do it the right way, right? So there's someone out there listening right now who wants to build this the right way. They want to build a community. They want to build a brand. They want to actually do this the right way. So what are some of the ways that you do that for them? And how are you kind of incorporating some of this energy along with the strategy? Like, just share it with us a little bit about that. And then that way someone who's listening might want to reach out and see how they can work with you.
Yeah, I love this question. And I also wanted to add on to what you were saying, because I think that one thing that came up for me, like in my head, is that I think a lot of people, they think that they have to follow exactly what their mentor is telling them to do. And for me personally, I've had so many mentors, and like I kind of, there's like this analogy of like taking what sticks. And so like think of like all the advice, all the tools, all of the guidance that people are giving you, even when you're listening to like podcasts and reading books, it's like sand, and you try to collect all the sand in your hand, but not all that sand is going to stick. You only want to take what sticks and what actually works for you. And then I also realized within my own journey is that like it's okay to kind of make your own path. Like, I love working with mentors and, teaching my clients specific strategies, but I also have realized that like just because it works for me doesn't mean it's going to work for them. And I really love helping people develop their own strategy. Like, in all of the work that I've done with mentors over the past few years, I kind of take bits and pieces from what they teach me, and then I like to make my own little formula for getting to where I want to be, because like, one, I don't like the shoulds. Like, I always say, stop shoulding all over yourself, because if someone tells me something that I should do, but it doesn't feel right for me, I'm not going to want to do it. Or if I try it, I'm going to have a lot of resentment. And I've seen this before with women that I work with. And so one of the ways that I actually help you do this is like by creating your own specific formula for getting to where you want to be, because I'm not just going to hand you a whole bunch of fluff that I've learned and things that might have worked for me and tell you to do those exactly as I've done it. I want you to like take what I'm giving you and kind of like make your own recipe. Like, think of it like the Krabby Patty formula, and you're just making your own special Krabby Patties.
I love
And
that.
and so like just take the tools that I give you and use them as tools. Like, it's not, like I said before, there's no one way that's going to be the right way of doing things. Like, there's no right way. It's like whatever works for you. And then I make sure that like as you're doing things, we're documenting what's working and what's not. We're testing out different strategies. Like, yes, I have a specific formula as far as like content goes and branding and the energetics and strategy side of things, and helping people with, planning out their offers, mapping out their launches, the actual social media strategy behind like what types of content you can post and how often you should post and like all of those different things. But I think it's honestly just figuring out like what feels right energetically for you. Like if I tell you to show up 5 days a week, but you only want to show up 3 days a week, show up 3 days a week. Consistency is not about doing something every single day or doing it like 100%. It's like doing things more often than not and doing it in a way that aligns with your energetic capacity, like what you want for your life and for your business, how much you want to show up, and making sure that you're aligning that with, what you're trying to provide to your community or to your audience. Like you want them to get to know, like, and trust you enough to eventually buy from you. So you have to give them some kind of routine, but making sure that it's what feels right for you, I think is the most important part of that. Um, and then as far as like the mindset stuff goes, I have like my program right now that I'm building out is called the Soft CEO because I really am trying to emphasize the importance of slowing down, being intentional, emotional, mental, and energetic management while you're on this journey of, trying to achieve success and abundance. So the kind of formula that I created is like two parts. And so it's the mindset part and then the actual strategy part for business and for social media. And so the first part is soft, and it's the word soft. And so it's like slow down, own your energy, face your fears, and take your power back. And then on the other end with the CEO part, it's content and branding that attracts your community, energetics and strategy, and then offer alchemy and money magic. So it's a little bit of everything in that program. And I really walk you through first, we're going to dive into like what your specific limiting beliefs are, what are your fears, how are you self-sabotaging, why are you self-sabotaging? And then we kind of move through that with helping you own your energy and doing that like emotional nervous system regulation and really facing those fears that you have head on with the, nervous system regulation and then taking your power back. So really finding like what is your power? What is like your secret sauce that you get to offer the world and then helping you step into that and really step into your power and feel confident and grounded in what you have to offer. And this is actually my favorite part of what I like to do. I think I love seeing people's potential and kind of pulling it out of them. I feel like the strategy is kind of effortless once people have that aspect. They know who they are, they like who they are, they trust themselves, they're confident in what they bring to the table, and they're not afraid to show it. And then I think after that, the CEO part kind of just comes naturally. And then I'm just like kind of giving them the tools to plug and play, and we're testing out the different strategies that will help them with the content, with the branding, with building a community, with the energetics and the strategy, and then creating an offer and actually monetizing. So it's a lot.
It's
But I like to
amazing.
cover all of my bases.
Yes. Oh my God. I love the soft CEO because that's exactly where I'm at, right? Like it's like moving into that and being able to have overcome the burnout to get to where I am is like, I want this for everyone, right? That's why I'm out here like, yes, share, 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 because this is so huge. I love the acronym, I'm all about acronyms.
Yes.
And I love that you talked about, it is it's almost like this. It's kind of like, because it's similar to my acronym. It's like, there's a guideline. Here's an acronym. Here's the process. This is the masculine structured aspect of it. But
Mhm.
then there's so much freedom within it, right? It's not about having to do things and like just because I did it or like disciplining yourself like like there's none of that. It's like, okay, let's figure out what it is that works for you based on your
Mhm.
intuition. What is your human design? You're a manifesting generator. What are your
Yes.
numbers? Like what's
I'm a
your
1-4.
1 4? Okay, I'm a 6 2. I was wondering because I'm like, yeah, you definitely have the ability to guide people, and I was wondering how similar we were with that. But I love it so much because it really entails all of it, and I think
Mhm.
it's so 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 powerful. And obviously, you've been able to lead by example with what you've created and how much success that you've been able to bring in, and so you have that track record of being able to do that. And I think that that is so huge because there's a lot of people out here. Sometimes I'm like looking at some of these courses and programs and I'm like, this person's like, oh, I teach you how to do this, that. And I'm like, and I know followers don't mean everything, but you kind of look at their stuff and it's like, that
Yeah.
doesn't seem very congruent, right? Like, did you practice what you are preaching? Because for me, I
Mhm.
always want to work with someone who has walked the path, right? Don't just tell me that you know how to do it. Did you do it? And
Right.
so you've been able to create that success. So I love that so much. I cannot believe our time has like flown by today. I've been having so much fun chatting with you. I'd love to have us be able, as we wrap up today, just share where people can find you on social media. I know there's going to be people who want to connect with you. Where can they find you, and how do people work with you if they want to work with you now?
Yes. So I just send people to my primary Instagram page. I've got a few different pages that you can follow depending on what your interests are. So that's at autumn.danae. And you can find me there on Instagram, same username on TikTok. And then I have my own podcast. It's called the Edge of Everything podcast. And Rebekah was on mine. So you guys can go listen to our episode. I'm not sure when this will be released, but yeah, she will be on mine.
We'll have a swap. Yeah.
Yeah. And as far as like ways to work with me, so right now I do very limited one-on-one coaching. I'm in the process of building out a group program that will be starting in October. But if you're interested in one-on-one mentorship, I love to work with very ambitious, high-achieving women who are excited about this kind of stuff and, who have a big vision, big goals. I'd love to, help facilitate your journey, and you can apply for that. Either the link is in my bio on Instagram. And if you listen to my podcast, it's also over there in the show notes on any of the episodes. And like I said, with the group coaching program that will be launched later this fall. And I'd love to have anyone who would love to work with me. I'm such a nerd
Yes.
about this stuff. I love all the strategy and the energetics. So if you'd like a little bit of both, I'd love to help you.
Oh my God, I love it. Yeah, guys, definitely check her out. I'm so excited to be able to share this episode with the world and for people to hear your story and hear a little bit more about you, because I do believe that this is the trend that we need to see, right? It's not all about strategy. We need to incorporate the energy. We need to have people that understand this journey and how this can play out if we don't build it on a solid foundation. So I do believe that we're going to see more people, hopefully, that we'll pioneer it, and that's okay. But regardless, I think that we need to see more people talking about all of this and how we got to kind of slow down to speed up a little bit.
Yes.
And to be able to achieve that lasting success. And wouldn't you rather have that? I'd rather spend 3 months, 6 months of my life building a solid foundation than spending 5 years wasting my time on strategy that I didn't even need because I didn't build it on a solid foundation, right?
Exactly.
It's all fleeting at that point. So I love it so much, guys. Definitely check her out, and everything will be in the show notes here as well. So you don't have to go searching for it. Everything will be here. You can follow her straight from the show notes. Okay. Any last things that you want to add as we wrap up today for our listeners that you feel called to share right now?
Yes, I forgot. I just did a really cool series for anyone who just wants like a taste and wants to get started with building and monetizing your brand. It's called Monetize Your Magic, and it's a free little mini course, and it comes with a guidebook. So that is over in my bio as well if you want to download that. But I had so much fun creating it. So if you are interested, it's a podcast series paired with the ebook, and I highly recommend starting there, because it has literally everything that you might need. Yes.
I love it. I'm going to check it out too, because I love the Monetize Your Magic. I'm all about the magic and creating magic and all of the fun things. So definitely we'll put that in the show notes as well. I did forget to ask you about that. My bad.
No, it's okay.
Yes, we got it in. We got it in. So let's we'll put that in the show notes, guys. Definitely check that out. Download that. That's so generous of you to give that for free to our audience. I'm so excited for people to be able to tap into that. And thank you so much for your time today. This has been so incredible. I've just loved being in your energy, and I know that others will give us the same feedback as well. So thank you so much, Autumn. And guys, we'll see you in the next episode of the Soul Powered Podcast. Bye.